Okay, this is the beginning, I believe, of episode 3 on the 60 Ranchero project. And we've got the engine out for about the 10th time, but I think we finally got all the little things fabricated and checked and tweaked, and we'll begin an actual final assembly today. Got to run brake lines and do a few things that still need to be done while the engine's out, and then once it goes back in, everything can start going back in for the last time. So anyway, we got our exhaust manifold on the driver's side modified. Like I said, we were going to have to make it dump a little different, and I'm happy the way it came out. I mean, again, it's not like it's a long tube race header. It's definitely going to flow better than a little wimpy stock exhaust manifold, and they look okay. They remind me a little bit of 289 hypo stuff. Maybe flow a little better. I've actually had a 289 hypo, so once it's in the engine compartment, it actually looks pretty good. So anyway, we got that. Got our clutch and flywheel on. This is a Ram clutch and flywheel. I think it's a 2,600 pound base pressure. Excuse me. Actually ran this clutch in my gasser right here last season, and was real impressed with the clutch. We've gone to an adjustable now though, just because these hit so hard when you launch. But I was real impressed with how easy it was to push the pedal, and I think it had more to do with the geometry on the clutch pedals in that gasser, because that thing is built totally from scratch, and I think I just got lucky and got the geometry on the pedal really good. I mean, it took the full throw of the pedal to disengage the clutch, and it actually felt really good. You could almost push the clutch pedal with your hand, it felt like. And that's kind of what I want in this car, but as I checked it the other day, it still feels a little stiff in this car. So I've done a few things to improve the geometry. You can't do a whole lot with these, but we did have to modify the equalizer bar, shorten it up because the 6-cylinder one, of course, was longer. And right here in the middle, and I don't laugh at the weld, there's actually a sleeve inside of that. I had a machine sleeve made, and what we did, we put it together and fixed it where we could adjust it while it was in the car, and got it, perfect, and then tacked it together and took it out and welded it. So that weld is low because it's actually welding to the sleeve, and it's very strong, so there's not going to be an issue there. We also shortened this part, which will help with the pedal geometry, making it a little easier. And then today, I've been doing a little bit of work on the clutch fork. I bought this as a new clutch fork and wasn't really happy with the way the ends were at all. They were a little bit short. It didn't have the nice little radius that the factory ones had on it. And so anyway, so I took my old 6-cylinder one and cut the ends off of it and extended this one just a little bit, and then took and dressed the radius on the belt sander. And it's kind of hard to tell on the video, but it flows really smoothly when you put the bearing in it. And I also added this much to the end, so I have two options as far as a pickup point for the clutch rod. And going out to the longer one, that will actually make the pedal ratio easier. So with a combination of that and then the mods on the Z-bar, we can hopefully dial in and get the clutch as easy as possible without running out of travel. And if it doesn't work, or we're not happy with it, then I still have the original hole there and it'll work just fine. So anyway, this real happy with the way this feels. And like I say, this is the old 5-bolt bell housing. It's been modified. It's got both bolt patterns in it now. So anyway, we're in the middle of getting a drive shaft done. I went by a friend's house the other day that had some junk, and I said, hey, can I come look at your drive shafts? And he had 3 or 4 there, and so I just grabbed one thinking I'd be cutting it and making it work, and I couldn't believe it. I got one that's the right length. I think it's an S10. It takes 1310 U-joints, and which works out fine. There's my yoke for the 3-speed, and so I think it's going to work out fine for now. I've got a few pieces painted, ready to go back on, and I think that's about it for today. Had a couple of people mention too, we're saying this is a 60 Ranchero. It is actually a 60, even though I had a 60, have a 61 grill in it when we started the video showing the front of the car. So it is actually a 60, but 61 grill. And one thing, while I've got the suspension available to view here, the spring perches on this car were unlike anything I had ever seen on a Ford. Don't know if you can tell or not, but the pivot point on the spring perch is actually a bushing. It's greasable, it's smooth, and I've messed with Fords all my life, mostly 60s and mid 70s, and I have never seen a spring perch. You can see that one a little better. It's actually got a snap ring retaining it on each side with a bushing. And I have never seen a set of spring perches like this that weren't set in rubber. And I don't know if this was just a one-off 1960 deal. But anyway, if anybody knows, let me know. I've just never seen that before. Just when you think you know a little something about Fords, you'll learn real quick you don't. Because they change things every 3 days when they were manufacturing stuff. So anyway, that's all for today, and we'll add to the video as we go. Okay, we got the engine in today, I think for the last time. Kind of got where we wanted to be. And got the brakes back on and bled. And in case anybody's wondering, an export brace will clear a tunnel ram. I was kind of wondering about that. So anyway, it fits. Okay, I'll raise it up and we'll look underneath. We're underneath now. You can see we ended up with good clearance around the starter. That's after moving our idler arm. You can't see it for the light. And this is our manifold that I pictured earlier. You can see how it fits, and it's going to dump. I don't have the equalizer bar in at the moment, but it's going to miss all of that. And somebody was asking about some more details on how we did the subframe. So what we did, we took 1.5 by 2.5 tubing, and that's the perfect width. You can see right here, it's the perfect width to lay underneath the original frame rails. And the frame rails on the Ranchero are fairly straight. Up towards the front, you've got to get into some notching. But basically, if you look here at the back, the tubing is split and it slips over these rear frame horns and welds. It comes across and then angles diagonally, which is going to tie in this original frame rail and this one that runs underneath the body. So we've got this diagonal. You can see that. It also gives you really good lift points. Okay, so this goes diagonal, and then we follow this frame rail. Now again, we've still got a lot of welding to do. I'll skip weld that probably about every inch or so. But it fits really nice and straight. Okay, and then up here, we split another piece of tubing and let it lay over this stock cross member and tie it in. So that gives you some strength. Even though we're not really using that cross member, it's still structural. We are going to put our emergency brake stuff back on it. So, and then as you come up to this point, there's a little more notching to make it fit. But then we took and we cut a plate. And I'll try to get a picture here with the light. But there's a plate that's cut that comes all the way up to the steering box. It's a one-piece plate, comes down, sandwiches the new plate and the old plate together. So you basically, and then with the other frame repair we've done, it's basically a full frame from front to back. And then by leaving all of the cross members in, I mean, it's really going to make a nice frame. You don't have to worry about, you know, putting a V8 in one of these cars or twisting on it hard. It's going to be fine. And then, of course, we added this cross member bolts in. That's going to add a little bit of strength for us, but you know, we mainly had to have it to support the transmission. So you can see how our transmission fits in the tunnel. And again, this is a 3-speed. We've got it hooked up to the column shifter. That wasn't too bad. We put the arms off of the 6-cylinder transmission. We had to trim them just a little bit, and they fit the transmission. And I did have to put a heim joint on this one to make it work out, but they shift smooth. So anyway, that's all we got for this video, and I'll keep posting as we make progress.